The morning sun of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the Interstellar Military Academy's pristine courtyard. Elsa Martinez stood at attention among 300 cadets from 47 different species, her worn leather scabbard hanging conspicuously at her hip. The blade inside was over 4 centuries old, a family heirloom that had survived Earth's climate wars, the Exodus, and 3 generations of Martinez soldiers. Is that primitive steel? A Thesian cadet 2 rows behind her chittered in disbelief, his translucent wings catching the alien sunlight. Elsa's jaw tightened, but she kept her eyes forward. This was the 7th planetary rotation since she'd arrived at the academy, and the mockery hadn't lessened. Attention! Commander Vexthor's voice boomed across the assembly ground. The Krillian officer stood nearly 3 meters tall, his exoskeleton gleaming with the iridescent sheen of bioengineered armor. Behind him, a figure in civilian clothes surveyed the cadets with an intensity that made Elsa's spine straighten involuntarily. The civilian was human, one of the few Elsa had seen since leaving the Sol system. He was older, perhaps 70 standard years, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to calculate trajectories and probabilities with every glance. A faded scar ran from his left temple to his jaw, the kind of injury that modern regenerative medicine could have erased, but he'd chosen to keep. Today, Commander Vexthor continued, you will begin advanced close-quarters combat training. Your instructor is Master Sergeant Harry Nakamura, veteran of the Centauri rebellions, the Vega blockade, and the commander's voice dropped with reverence, the siege of New Kyoto. A murmur rippled through the assembled cadets. The siege of New Kyoto was legendary, a battle where 37 humans had held a colonial outpost against 17,000 Celati shock troops for 93 days. The tactical analyses were still studied in every military academy across known space. Harry stepped forward, his movements economical and precise. Modern warfare, he began without preamble, relies on plasma rifles, kinetic accelerators, and drone swarms. Your neural implants can calculate firing solutions faster than conscious thought. Your powered armor can absorb impacts that would vaporize unshielded flesh. He paused, letting his gaze sweep across the formation. And when your rifle's power cell is depleted, when your armor is breached, when your implants are scrambled by electromagnetic pulse, what then? A Vorlian cadet, her scales shimmering blue with confidence, raised her hand. Sir, equipment failure protocols require immediate extraction, and there is no extraction. Harry cut her off. Your dropship is destroyed. Your squad is dead. The enemy is coming through the breach. You have 3 seconds. What do you do? Silenced, Harry's eyes found Elsa in the formation. Cadet Martinez. Answer. Elsa felt 300 pairs of eyes turn toward her. Sir, you fight with whatever remains functional. Demonstrate. It wasn't a request. Elsa broke formation and marched to the front, her boots striking the permacrete in perfect rhythm. She could hear the whispers behind her. The human with the antique. This should be entertaining. Probably can't even draw it properly. Harry stood facing her, arms crossed. Show me your weapon. Elsa's hand went to the scabbard. The grip was wrapped in frayed leather, darkened by generations of sweat and blood. She drew the blade in one smooth motion, 30 inches of folded steel, the edge still sharp despite 400 years. The katana had belonged to her great-great-grandfather, a soldier who'd fought in Earth's final wars before humanity reached for the stars. The mockery erupted immediately. Is that sharpened metal? Odyssean laughed. My hatchlings play with more sophisticated weapons, a Krillian added. Sir, a Zephyrite cadet called out. Is this really regulation? That weapon couldn't penetrate modern combat armor. It's a liability. Harry raised one hand, and the courtyard fell silent. He walked toward Elsa, each step measured. When he stood before her, his eyes fixed on the blade with an expression she couldn't quite read. Then, slowly and deliberately, Harry Nakamura bowed. Not a casual nod, but a full formal bow, the kind reserved for superior officers or battlefield legends. When he straightened, his voice carried across the stunned assembly. That blade has history. He turned to address the cadets, and Elsa noticed his hand was trembling slightly. This weapon was forged in the year 2187, during Earth's climate wars, by a swordsmith named Takashi Yamamoto in what remained of Kyoto. The man was dying of radiation poisoning, and he used the last of his strength to create 12 blades as a testament to human craftsmanship before the old world ended. Harry gestured to the katana. This is number 7 of those 12. I know, because I carried number 3 for 42 years. The courtyard was absolutely silent now. The siege of New Kyoto, Harry continued, his voice hard as titanium, began when a Ceylati battle fleet emerged from slipspace and caught our colonial defense grid offline. They landed 20,000 troops. We had 216 defenders, humans, Thaxians, Krillians, even 3 Ceylati defectors who'd sought asylum. He began to pace, and Elsa noticed the civilian clothes concealed a slight limp. On day 7, they breached the command center. Plasma fire had melted our armor. Kinetic rounds were depleted. Our neural implants were scrambled by Ceylati disruptors, and they came through the walls with numbers we couldn't match. Harry stopped, his scarred face grave. Do you know what stopped them? Not technology, not superior firepower. 37 humans drew blades, katanas, machetes, combat knives, anything with an edge. We held that breach for 17 hours. A Vorlian cadet raised her hand tentatively. Sir, how is that possible? Ceylati shock troops have reinforced exoskeletons, and they'd never faced an enemy willing to close to arm's length, Harry said. Their doctrine relied on overwhelming firepower at range. When humans came at them with naked steel, their tactical algorithms had no response protocols. We were too close for their weapons, too unpredictable for their targeting systems, and too desperate to care about casualties. He turned back to Elsa. Cadet Martinez, what do you know about your blade's history? Elsa stood straighter. Sir, my great-great-grandfather carried it through the water wars. My great-grandfather wore it during the Exodus fleet's departure from Seoul. My grandmother drew it once, on the Titan mining stations, when raiders breached their Hab Dome. And my father, her voice caught. Harry nodded understanding. Your father carried it at New Kyoto. I remember him. Lieutenant Marcus Martinez, 3rd Platoon. He held the eastern corridor when I held the western. We stood back to back in the command center for the final assault. Elsa's eyes widened. You knew my father? He saved my life twice that day, Harry said quietly. And I saved his once. That's what warriors do. He raised his voice to address the assembly. On day 93, relief forces broke through. Of 37 humans who drew blades, 11 survived. Your father was one of them, Cadet Martinez. He earned the Stellar Cross, though he never spoke of it. The blade earned its place in history, though no database records its deeds. Harry faced the assembled cadets, his expression fierce. You mock primitive weapons because your technology has made you comfortable. You've forgotten the fundamental truth of warfare. When everything else fails, victory belongs to those with the will to close distance and press the attack. Steel doesn't require power cells. Edges don't need software updates. And a warrior's determination cannot be hacked or jammed. He gestured to Elsa's katana. This blade has cut through the armor of enemies you've only read about in tactical briefs. It has been drawn in defense of humanity and our allies when modern weapons failed. It represents 400 years of continuous warrior tradition, longer than most of your species have been spacefaring. A Krillian cadet, the same one who'd mocked Elsa earlier, spoke up hesitantly. Sir, if these weapons are so effective, why don't we all carry them? Harry's smile was cold. Because you haven't earned the right. A blade demands mastery. There are no auto-targeting systems, no neural interface assistance. Every cut requires judgment. Every defense requires commitment. Most of you would be dead before you completed your first swing. He turned to Elsa. Cadet Martinez, your father told me once that this blade has never been drawn in anger without drawing blood. Is that still true? Yes, sir. Good. Keep it that way. A blade's reputation is part of its effectiveness. Enemies who recognize it will hesitate. That hesitation is yours to exploit. Harry addressed the assembly one final time. For the next 60 days, you will all train in close-quarters combat. You will learn to fight when your technology fails. Some of you will master it. Most will simply gain respect for those who do. And if you ever face Cadet Martinez in combat training, remember that primitive blade has a 400-year history of winning fights against impossible odds. He stepped back. Dismissed. Cadet Martinez, you're with me. As the formation broke apart, Elsa caught the looks from other cadets, no longer mocking, but wary and curious. She sheathed her katana and followed Harry toward the training complex. Once they were away from the others, Harry's formal bearing relaxed slightly. Your father would be proud of you. Making it to the academy is no small achievement. Thank you, sir. He never told me you knew each other. Marcus was a private man. He carried his wars quietly. Harry paused at the entrance to the Combat Simulation Center. That blade is more than a weapon, cadet. It's a reminder that humanity earned its place in the galactic community not through superior technology, but through sheer stubborn refusal to quit when every rational calculation said we should. I understand, sir. I don't think you do. Not yet. Harry's eyes were distant. But you will. The galaxy is vast, and peace is always temporary. When the next war comes, and it will come, allies will look to humans and wonder if we're still the species that held New Kyoto. Your generation will answer that question. He placed a hand on her shoulder briefly. Carry that blade with pride, cadet. And remember, it's not the weapon that makes the warrior. It's the warrior that gives the weapon meaning. As Harry walked away, Elsa stood in the alien sunlight of Kepler 442b, one hand on the ancient scabbard. Around her, the academy hummed with technology that would have seemed like magic to her great-great-grandfather. But at her hip hung proof that some truths transcended technological advancement. The blade had history. And now, Elsa understood, it was her duty to add another chapter to that history, to prove that the warrior spirit her ancestors had forged was as sharp and enduring as the steel they'd carried. She entered the training complex, ready to begin.